Gildan Media presents Your Coach in a Box, affordable, life-changing audio programs.
Rush Limbaugh, An Army of One. Written by Zev Chafets. Read by Erik Synnestvedt. I know the liberals call you the most dangerous man in America, but don't worry about it. They used to say the same thing about me. Keep up the good work. Ronald Reagan, in a letter to Rush Limbaugh, December 11th, 1992. Introduction. People tend to remember the moment they first heard Rush Limbaugh. Mine came in the fall of 1989 in Detroit, driving down Woodward Avenue in a black LeBaron convertible. I was there researching a book about the racial politics of the city where I grew up, and which I had left many years before. Out of habit, I had the car radio tuned to 1270 AM, the popular rock and roll station of my teenage years. Clarence Frogman Henry was singing Ain't Got No Home, a song that had always made me smile, when suddenly he was interrupted by a baritone voice intoning, "Daddle-it, daddle-it, daddle-it, homeless update." In Detroit, you get accustomed to bad news. I listened for the latest installment. But this wasn't about Detroit. It was about a think tank in Washington, D.C. that had, according to the baritone, just put out an inflated figure of the number of homeless Americans. A typical liberal trick to deceive the public and allow Democrats in Congress to funnel emergency money to their cronies in big cities. This grew into a riff on the evils of profligate government spending, the debasing effect of welfare on its recipients, and the cynical willingness of the mainstream media to treat liberal propaganda as news. The baritone didn't seem angry. On the contrary, he seemed delighted and amused to be catching another bunch of bleeding hearts, rapacious Poles, and crooked journalists in the act. He called himself El Rushbo and America's Truth Detector, and he announced that his program was on the Excellence in Broadcasting Network. I had been living abroad for many years, but I knew perfectly well that broadcast networks in America sounded nothing like this. They wouldn't have dared to strike such an irreverent tone about homelessness, or make raucous fun of revered liberal axioms and icons. It is hard to describe how transgressively original Rush Limbaugh sounded in this media environment. Listening to him on the...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?